A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, a whole lot of stories were told. Seriously, it's hard to keep track of everything in the Star Wars universe. Through films, comic books, TV shows, novels, and much, much more, sorting out what is legend, what is canon, and which stories are told from a certain point of view can be a bit tough. We're here to help you sort through that mess and to stay up to date with what's going on in the galaxy. So sit tight, strap in, grab your favorite co-pilot if you want to, and get ready to make the jump to lightspeed. Ladies, gentlemen, Wookiees of all ages, these are the Holocron Chronicles. Welcome to Holocron Chronicles. This is episode 8. My name's Mark the Canardian, and I'm joined, as always, by my rebel pilot in command, Charlie Carden. Charlie, how you doing tonight?
Vroom, vroom. I'm driving this X-Wing. That's how I'm doing. Yeah, no, it's good. It's
wait, hold on.
Okay,
when you say this X-Wing, you need to really enunciate, because it kind of sounded like you said you're driving the sex swing. So I just want to make sure that you're enunciating that we're still family friendly.
Anybody who's been in a sex swing probably knows that it drives you. You don't drive it. I am one with the Force. The Force.
Oh, mercy. All right, kids. Listen to something else. Charlie, how you doing tonight?
That is always my attitude. You know what? It really is just not for kids. I'm good. No, I've been enjoying some decent weather here in Michigan.
Good.
Hopefully it's going to hold out. The president was on the news tonight talking about getting the vaccine out to everybody here in the US of A by May 1. Wow. Fingers crossed. So Who knows? If that's it. That's pretty exciting stuff. So life seems to be moving forward in a positive fashion.
That is fantastic. I'm hoping the same. They said that they moved the timeline up by a couple of months in Canada, but I don't know where that puts me because I'm in the kind of younger-ish age group that I'm definitely not a priority. My wife is scheduled. When she's working, when she goes back to work, she'll be working in the hospital. So she's more frontline kind of thing. So she, I think, has her first shot scheduled, and then we'll have her backup shot after that. So I'd love to get something as soon as I can, and feel a sense of kind of normalcy and like we're heading in that direction. But I have to say it's not too bad where I live. So we have 0 cases in the province today, which is great.
Oh, it's beautiful. That's good.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. It feels kind of normal, but at the same time, it's still that always looming kind of thing. So, so it's always good to escape and talk about some Star Wars, and that's what we're going to do. This may be a shorter episode, so if you're listening to this, and it is kind of short, this is our February update. But if you missed the last episode, go back. Check it out. We had a very special guest, Okiro, join us. He just passed just shortly after he was on our show, and I don't think the two are related at all because I just don't think they are. But he just passed 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is amazing. So
nice.
Congrats to Okiro. The hard work is paying off. If you're not subscribed, go check out his videos. He's producing some really, really cool, thought-provoking, just really well-produced videos about Star Wars and kind of geek culture. He's done some stuff on some Marvel, the Marvel shows, WandaVision, that kind of stuff. But where I found him and what he was talking about with us last week is, of course, Star Wars, and I think that's kind of his bread and butter. So go give him a like and subscribe on YouTube. And if you missed that episode, go back and listen to it.
Yes, it was good stuff.
Yeah, it was really fun, and we'll have to have him back. I'm sure in the future, because I think that's one of those guys that you could just set him in front of a microphone and give him a topic, and I think he can just rap about anything in Star Wars.
Yeah, that
for as long as you want.
Pretty unstoppable, which is what you want out of a podcaster, somebody who knows how to roll. So that's great. It's good stuff.
For sure. So thanks, Akiro, for joining us last week. But Charlie, you want to jump right into the Chrono Updato for February 2021?
And we're just pulling a scant 3 comic books this month of February. Bounty Hunters, the comic Bounty Hunters, I believe, has gone bi-monthly because I know that there is an issue. I just got an update that there'll be an issue published next week, and we're recording this on March 11. So we will definitely have an issue of Bounty Hunters to talk about this time next month. But we only really have the High Republic, regular Star Wars, and Darth Vader to talk about. So Mark, being the High Republic expert and enthusiast, is going to take us through this, and then when we get into section 2 talking about prose, there is a High Republic novel to talk about that Mark will hit upon as well. So without further ado, by all means, it's all yours.
Well, slightly further ado, I do want to ask about Bounty Hunters. So from you've been in the comic book world a lot longer than I have. Something going bi-monthly, is that a what kind of a sign is that? We've been talking for a couple of months about that book kind of waning our interest. If something's going bi-monthly, is that kind of pushing it to a different time slot in TV terms? Is that setting it up for the death knell?
I have a very good feeling that this book is kind of on the way out. Because if something is selling great, you don't sell less of it. You try to sell more of it. If something is maintaining the status quo, you keep it at the status quo because you have an audience that obviously wants to engage with it, and that does not appear to be the case here. So I have a bad feeling about that book. I know that I was looking at Marvel previews for May. I know that and we'll be talking about this, there's a string of books coming up called the Bounty Hunter War. That you see Boba Fett featured, and maybe that's going to be the end of Bounty Hunters, and it's going to kind of transition into some one-shots. And like I said, as somebody who's been reading comics for 30-something years, God, how long have I been? Yeah, just about. I have become more and more a fan of one-shots as time goes by because that's all my brain has time for. As far as it's like picking up another TV show. You know what I mean? You want some, like WandaVision just wrapped up, and it was great. It was punchy. It was 9 episodes. It was really direct and to the point. But then that was a limited series. It's done. There's not going to be another season of it. It was a complete story. And that's what makes me more and more a fan of the miniseries as opposed to and I know I mentioned this when we were talking previously, the series that kind of limps along until they tie old Yeller to a tree and bash him with a shovel.
Jesus.
I mean, seriously.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, I talk about the same thing. Todd and I both with video games. We mentioned, when I was younger, 40, 60, 80-hour video game was like, yes, give me more. I want all of that. Because I could spend a full weekend eating Cheetos and playing an 80-hour video game. And nowadays I'm like, okay, cool. What's like a 4 or 5 hour experience that I can play and fit in? And I do still, Todd and I both had the same favorite game that was probably, I think, about a 40-hour, full experience kind of thing with Immortals Phoenix Rising. But for me to get in and really finish a game, especially now with a small baby and whatever, he's a 9-month-old, he's definitely not getting any less active.
Yes, I heard all about the brown trout. I listened to Co-op this morning. The brown shark. Eddie Murphy does a deadly routine about that in one of his early specials. G.I. Joe and the brown trout. So
if you missed that one, go check out Co-op Mod. I won't get into it again here, but it's the short experiences are for sure. That's preferable. That's kind of what made me drop off the CW Arrowverse shows, because as they kept adding more, it's like, I don't have time for, 6 hours a week, 22 episodes or 24 episodes each, and then crossovers and this and that. And it's like, and for me, it was kind of like, I need to watch all of these or I can't watch any because the crossover ones will start to bug me. So I dropped off like Arrow, Flash, all that kind of stuff. And I'd love to get back, but like,
it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that because I love the Crisis crossover that they did. Mm-hmm. And I thought I bought it on Vudu, but it was actually a 4-part Crisis on Earth X, which was the Nazis. And I just finished. I actually really enjoyed it, and I stopped watching those shows a very long time ago. But anyway, I think we're a little off track.
Definitely.
Why don't we cycle back to talking about the High Republic issue number 2?
Yeah. So this is the second. Of course, right there in the name, it's the second issue in this new High Republic canon comic book series. If you missed us talking about it last time, this is set 100 or more years before the original, the prequel.
Right.
Stuff. So it's way in the past. This is when the Jedi were at their peak. There's thousands of them. They are all throughout the High Republic, and we're seeing the start of things like there's a big bit about like Bacta tanks. That Bacta is a new technology. They're expanding into Outer Rim territories where it used to be more kind of Middle Rim and that kind of stuff. We're seeing the Republic expand. Right. So it's an interesting time. I'm really loving this stuff as you mentioned before. So the summary for this one, the all new series continues. Who destroyed one of the Jedi's deadliest enemies? And that would be one of the Hutts, I guess, is who they're mentioning here, as you would see in the comic. Slight spoiler there. The Nihil Strike, and I think that's how we decided to pronounce it, the Nihil, because I don't think it's Nihil. Nihil. I don't know if you heard L.
That sounds right.
Okay. Yeah. The Nihil Strike, a ship adrift in space, the crew brutally slaughtered and cargo stolen. What terror awaits the Jedi of Starlight Beacon as they explore the wreck? Newly knighted Keeve Trennis must overcome her insecurity in the face of new teammates, but can she trust her closest ally? So I thought this was a great book. Again, I'm really invested in this, and I loved the story of Keeve becoming a Jedi Knight, and this is kind of her first mission. Not as a Padawan, and you're seeing kind of this shift there. So I'm really kind of digging this, and they left it on a cliffhanger, and that's always one of those things. It's like I can't wait to read what's next. But
mean they're really setting it up that her her former master Skier is something is really tweaking him out. So. Mm-hmm. What is doing that? Where is that leading? Is this going to have larger meaning for, and again, this is 230 something years before the prequels or whatever. So what does that have deeper meaning to what is to come? But something else I really enjoy about this title is that, everything that frustrates us about the Skywalker saga is, everybody knows everybody and everything's connected. No, we saw the only piece of connective tissue that we have seen was, the appearance of young and somewhat spryly Master Yoda walking through. He's got a little bit more hair. That's how you know he's young. But he was like he was catching a bus or something. He just walked through, and they didn't be like, no, he's going to be a character in this. No, they're setting this up. My hope is to be something that will be impactful to, stories that will follow and that they're going to world. So I find that to be very, very exciting. So cool.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is leading into the Acolyte, because I think that's taking place towards kind of the tail end of this era. So I'm wondering if the Acolyte is kind of the dark Jedi Sith story that kind of brings around the beginning of the end for the Jedi with this amount of power, and then we see kind of that downfall as we lead into the prequels, and we see that kind of corruption and they want more power. They're less about peacekeeping and more about politics. And I think this is definitely on an interesting path. But right now, yeah, there is some internal drama. But also we're meeting some neat Jedi with Skier and the twins, Tarek and Saret, I believe.
Yes. You say that, and I just closed the window, so I'm going to take your word.
Okay. So I thought they were kind of cool, and but yeah, this is definitely a series that I am invested in and can't wait to continue.
Right, and I love the fact that you're putting new characters into play, and that we've seen with the Mandalorian that it's very easy to transition characters from the page or from the animated cell to the live action or to the animated cell. So, that is one thing that I really love about the Lucasfilm group that I really wish transitioned into my beloved Star Trek, is that you could cull from multiple prose related things like the cartoons. There's been one really successful cartoon in Star Trek in the last year called Lower Decks that is fully integrated into canon. There's going to be a new cartoon that's geared towards a younger audience called Star Trek Prodigy, which we're likely to see this fall, which will be the next Star Trek that we've gotten since COVID threw everything off. We haven't had anything new since Discovery ended back in January. So I really wish that Star Trek could actually take a page from Star Wars book and have this multimedia aspect to their canon. I feel that that's lacking. But it was interesting. I was just on a YouTube channel live broadcast just a few days ago in uniform with David Mack, who is a very accomplished Star Trek novel author, and Scott Tipton, who is a very accomplished Star Trek comic book author. And I asked the question point blank. I said, this thing and that thing that you're describing, is there a chance because it relates to this and that, it could be canon? And both guys said, nope, doesn't work that way. And
wow.
It just really popped. I mean, it was something that I knew, but it really popped my balloon, because it's like there are a series of novels that are attached to Picard, which is one of the newer series that touch upon ancillary characters and large supporting characters, and Picard himself. The third one of the novels is coming out a little bit later this year. And again, I would love to believe that those are canon stories that are being told, but they aren't. And so anyway, I'm on my high horse about canon. I'll get off it, but being that this is a canon podcast is particularly salient to my mind. So moving along, we have the 11th issue of the Core Star Wars title, written by Charles Soule. The illustrator is Jan Bazadula. Dang, good art. I like it just the same. This came out this month. Operation Starlight goes supernova. And if you remember, the mission to reunite the rebel fleet is countered by a deadly trap sprung by the evil Commander Zara, who has been menacing our crew all along. She also has a Star Destroyer that has a big chunk taken out of it because the exploding Death Star crashed into it. And she has a real lady hate boner for Princess Leia. Like, they're loggerheads all the way. So anyway, the question is, how will Wedge, Antilles, Cherubay, and the other pilots in Starlight Squadron survive? And also, there's Lando Calrissian forced to choose between the rebellion and his oldest friend. That would be Mr. Lobot. So a lot of great stuff going on. This is, I have to be honest with you, I'm a superhero guy. I have subscriptions to 4 print comics, which I've said in the past, both on this show and probably on SFU. I get print comics as reader copies, and all Marvel comics have a digital code in them, so I'll get it. I'll punch in the code. I'll read it that way, and I give the print copies to my friend's kid. He's 8 years old. So every time I go to his house, I'm going there this weekend. I have new comics for him. So
awesome.
If he's not home, if he's at his dad's house, I'll just leave him on his bed so he'll have a surprise when he gets home. Cool. This is probably those comics are. There's this one. There's Amazing Spider-Man, which I've read since I was 10 years old. Fantastic Four, which I've read on and off, and the Avengers, which I've also read since I was a teenager. This is the comic that I'm like, oh, when's the next issue coming out? Super fired up about, because I just feel like they're really getting it right. And again, Charles Soule has been the architect of Star Wars comics since that first relaunch, which we talked about kind of in depth on a previous episode. But what I'm continuing to love about this arc is that Luke Skywalker is I was going to say he was AOL. He's not AOL. He's AWOL. He's off doing his own thing. He hasn't been a pivotal factor in the comic in so many issues. Mark, I don't even know what he's doing. I don't know where he's off to. I don't know.
He's got his yellow lightsaber. He's just gone off somewhere else. Yeah.
He's off. He's doing something. So maybe there's going to be an arc that says this is what Luke was doing for those 5 issues. Here's 5 issues, what he was doing. Right. But, you've got, you're pulling together the characters of Shara Bay and her husband, whose name I always forget, but they're the parents of Poe Dameron from the sequel trilogy. So I love that. But you're in a real game of cat and mouse because they have this horrible resurrected ancient droid that they're helping them develop this language so that the Rebel Alliance can talk to each other undetected, because when the Empire cracked code, a couple of the Rebel fleets were wiped out, and they're afraid that's going to happen to everybody else. So it turns into a real Sophie's choice for Lando, because the ancient droid has to tap into Lobot in order to keep the program going. But if the droid stays tapped into Lando, he'll die. But if they break the connection, then there's a good chance that Wedge and his squadron will die. So it turns into a Mexican standoff between Poe Dameron's father and Lando, as far as who is, what's going to go down. So it was a moment of tension as much as you get in the comic book. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But Kes Dameron, by the way.
Kes Dameron, thank you so much. And which is funny because Kes is the name of a female character that was a main cast member in the early seasons of Star Trek Voyager. So that's a weird one for me maybe that's why I was blocking it out. So yeah, I thought that there was there were stakes in this. At the end of it, it looked like Shara Bay was going to be trapped and killed. But unfortunately, we do see her later. We do see her in post Return of the Jedi stuff. So we know she's not going to die. But still, it's exciting. I mean, and it's building to what is obviously been a huge blowout between Leia and Zara. That's going to happen again. So yeah, this one is hands down my favorite. I absolutely love this title. And I'm always excited to get the next issue. I'm not sure. It's funny because those comics come by bulk mail. It'll be somewhere between 2 days and like 3 weeks before it shows up at the house. So thank God we do this once a month, because it gives me the chance to actually, at least be like, well, I guess I just read it, so it's fresh in my mind instead of reading it 3 weeks ago. But I can't predict that. So
right. But
anyway, this was definitely my jam. Certainly my story of the month, I would say, without a doubt.
Yeah. This is again, we keep saying these other books are hitting so hard that you can kind of see why Bounty Hunters is kind of falling to the wayside. So yeah, that is a great read, and Vader 10 is the next one and final comic that we have this month. Mm-hmm. So the Red Horror. After passing the test of the Eye of Weathers Bog, Darth Vader has learned the route to the hidden location of the Emperor's greatest secrets. But in the Red Nebula along the way, can Vader survive the onslaught of the greatest predator in the galaxy, especially if the monster's most brutal attack transcends the physical? And what horror awaits the Emperor if a transformed Vader makes it to his dark door? So, this one for me is, again, all of these books have been Vader showing that he's a badass. But on his way to Mustafar, the Rise of Skywalker made it look so easy. It's like, well, why can't he just go there? Obviously they had to find, the Sith Wayfinder, and they got there, and then the fleet got there, and no one ran into like crazy shenanigans. So it's like, why is Darth Vader doing that? But aside from that, it's more Darth Vader being a badass. So you can't really complain too much, I suppose. What did you think of this one?
It's funny of the I'm just really so swept up in that main title that I had to double check and like did I read this so long ago that I need to double check and make sure that I read it? So I don't know if that means that this is throwing me or I just need to pay closer attention. But I want him to get there, and I want this final showdown to happen.
That's gonna, yeah.
And I guess maybe it was not dramatically kind of stuck in my brain that way. So yeah, I'd like to see it move forward a bit. So I guess it didn't really register with me in kind of the same way.
Yes.
So, all right. So moving along to a behind-the-scenes reference book, Star Wars: The Mandalorian: The Art and Imagery Collector's Edition, Volume 2. So this is journeying to the amazing worlds of Star Wars: The Mandalorian, critically acclaimed series that expands the Star Wars universe. Continues to tell the acclaimed story of the mysterious Mandalorian, warrior Din Djarin, and the child. So this is a mix of photography, concept art, showcasing the Mandalorian, his allies, and etc. So, these are great. If you're a diehard, and again, the few physical volumes I still collect would be coffee table books, much like this one. Nice, big, thick tomes. If you really want to dig deep, sure, a lot of these images, I'm sure that you can find them online, but to me, it just doesn't really hold the punch. So while I'm personally, not collecting a lot of this kind of stuff right now, I always love that comes out, and this one's from Titan Comics, which is, they're very famous for licensed products. And if it's Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, alike, all that kind of stuff. So I am sure this is a very nice book. So do you dabble in these at all, Mark?
Every once in a while. For the most part, it's video game stuff. I like, video game artwork and concept and that kind of thing. My wife has one or two Harry Potter. I think she has like a big collection of wands and that kind of stuff. This one, I think I mentioned last time for Volume 1 that this is the kind of stuff that, if kind of similar to you, like this would be the kind of thing I'd pick up physically and have there. Whether I'd pick up Volume 1 and Volume 2 or wait another few months and see if there's something that collects everything all in one, compendium or something like that, or pick it up at all. Like you said, a lot of the artwork that I would be interested that's featured in this, most likely I can find somewhere online or whatever, but it would kind of be cool to have some big coffee book, or coffee table kind of book, with concept images, with artwork, with, here's how, how we designed this character. Here's how we designed this character. I love that kind of stuff. So this is interesting to me, but not something I feel the need to rush out and get.
Right, gotcha. Be more, and it's not like I've set foot in a library in a couple of years, but it'd be one of those. if I was hypothetically walking through a library, I might snag this and flip, take it home and flip through it, and then eventually take it back. So, it's always good to know that there wouldn't be a Volume 2 if there wasn't interest in a Volume 1. So it's good to know that it's out there. It's out there and it's selling, and people dig it. So, final thing is yours. This is a High Republic. It is a YA, but since we're very limited on content this month, I think we should tackle it just the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't read this one like I did the first High Republic regular novel, but this one I almost did pick this one up, and I'm kind of regretting not picking it up. I was in the line at the grocery store a week or two ago and saw this one on sale and said, okay, maybe I'll grab it, but I kind of wanted it digital or possibly audiobook or something, so it's a little easier to consume. But anyway, the publisher's summary for this one: the Padawan Ralph Silas is being sent from the cosmopolitan galactic capital of Coruscant to the underdeveloped frontier, and he couldn't be less happy about it. Wah, wah. He'd rather stay at the Jedi Temple studying the archives. But when the ship he's traveling on is knocked out of hyperspace in a galactic-wide disaster, Reith finds himself at the center of the action. The Jedi and their traveling companions find refuge on what appears to be an abandoned space station. But then strange things start to happen, leading the Jedi to investigate the truth behind the mysterious station, a truth that could end in tragedy. So, sounds pretty good. I mean, everything.
Oh my.
that's what I like with this High Republic stuff is it is far-reaching, and it's showing the story from multiple angles, as we're seeing in the comics, in the novels, in the YA stuff, whatever. But there are so many Jedi to follow that you're not just getting it from one certain point of view. You're getting these stories that are across the galaxy kind of all happening around the same time. Even with the volume 2 of the comic book, I'm seeing things that tie back into the first novel that was released in the High Republic, and just reading this summary, I'm seeing things like, oh, okay, so that's probably happening around this time, so that means he's here while this is going on. So this is already interesting to me. So I'd love to see when, in a few months, in a year, whatever, is there going to be something that kind of breaks down all of these events in a cohesive timeline of if you don't read the young adult stuff, if you don't read the comics, is there a way? And I guess that's one of the downsides to having all of this media across different things. And you just kind of complained about Star Trek not having, canon in comic books or in books or in this and that. But it can be also really hard to follow for people that, if you don't read comics, or if you only read comics, or if you only watch TV shows or movies, are you going to be a little lost when the Acolyte starts? If it's referencing things that have been in books for, let's say, a year or two before that show drops, are you going to be, playing catch up? Is there going to be too much? I'm kind of curious. And that is one of the downsides that, even we find, we do this show talking about canon, and even on a slower month, it is kind of hard to say, okay, what did I read? What did I not read? Did I read that? Did it make an impact? Can I keep this story straight? It's tough. So, but that's one of the things that I love and kind of hate about this High Republic stuff. So, Into the Dark sounds cool.
And I like the fact that it's simultaneously published as an audiobook. I am not a book reader at all these days. I mean, even having the Kindle app on my iPad, I couldn't tell you the last time I actually sat down and read a whole book. It's been a couple of years. But I have really fallen in love with audiobooks since I've been, housebound, kind of being between jobs thanks to Corona. I do spend some time playing my Lego video games here in the den, and I have my iPad right next to me, and that's how I finished a Star Wars or a Star Trek audiobook yesterday. I'm still going on to listen to the Certain Point of View from The Empire Strikes Back. I also, because I have Audible with my monthly credit, I grabbed the Certain Point of View for A New Hope. And then in the future, I may also grab one of these High Republic ones. Maybe one of the young adult ones because it'd be a little quicker bite, than the super long other one. But we'll see. I do bounce back and forth when it comes to audiobooks between the Star Wars and the Star Trek. So I'll buy them, and maybe I'm not going to listen to it right now, but like I said, I absolutely go through phases. So I go, it's the yin and the yang for me is the Star Wars and the Star Trek. I'll go back and forth, and there comes a time when sometimes they'll harmonize. But we've got to, like when The Mandalorian and Lower Decks or Discovery was on at the same time, and Alex and I are doing Code 47, we split the show in half so that we would talk about both of them. So that was a very rare time when both of them were on television at the same time, and I could have the same fire. So I look forward to having that again when we get more content on the air, which COVID certainly has not helped with that. So we're bringing our program to an end, but we decided to, as I was skimming through kind of the content page of where we get our summary of what the canon stories were in the previous month, they had a column for events yet to be determined. And there's one on here that will come as a celebration to a lot of people, and to a lot of people they couldn't care as much. But in 2021, what was noted on this is that Kathleen Kennedy, famous / infamous head of Lucasfilm, that her contract as president is coming to an end. So I thought perhaps we could expound potentially briefly on what we really think that might mean if she decides to retire. I don't know that she's exactly of retirement age, but I know she's certainly a fair bit older than myself. I would anticipate her to be in her late 50s, early 60s, which is the potential of retirement age for certainly someone in the entertainment industry who has been, I mean, she was executive producing movies in the late 1970s. So she has amassed quite a career. I'm sure that she could retire very comfortably. So let's just...
yeah, I think she's like 68.
Yeah. Oh, golly.
Born in 53, I think. Yeah. So she's up there. I mean, like, she's definitely she can retire without any kind of like, I'm retiring early or something. Exactly. I think at this point she's earned it, whether you like her or not. I think she's definitely paid her dues.
Yeah, if you look at her body of work, it's a massive achievement. But there have certainly been her detractors in the last few years around Star Wars. Certainly people who didn't enjoy the sequel trilogy. Certainly people who don't enjoy just how she purports Star Wars, going out there and saying, well, we don't have a background in things because it's not like Marvel where they have reference. There's no references and stuff where, she was the one who obviously had a hand in destroying the, canon status of the EU, but whatever it is. But, playing the hypotheticals, some very clear names come to mind if she goes and they bring in somebody who has had massive creative success. And again, she's not a content creator that I'm aware of. She is simply a suit. She's someone on the administrative side, the business side of things. But, if we were to look at our sweetheart list of, God, it would be great if this person took over. What's your like top three? What would you say?
Filoni.
Mm-hmm.
Favreau.
Yep.
Feige,
really? Who is rumored to, but has not yet executed a Star Wars. I would have said Taika Waititi, simply because of his. Yeah, I mean, Feige. It's undeniable. The man has the Midas touch. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has had one stinker to it, and that would be that thing called The Inhumans, which I still will not watch, because we watched the first 1 hour of the 2-hour premiere, and I said, "Fuck this," and we were gone. And they limped it onto Disney Plus, but I wouldn't put it on. I mean, forget about it. But yeah, I think having Lucasfilm being driven by a creator. I mean, say what you will about George and how you might feel about the prequel trilogy, but it's all because of him, and it was all his notion that created all of this. So passing it into the capable hands of other creators who have done such work in the last 5 to 10 years that just absolutely knocks your socks off, to me opens up the floodgates possibility, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. When you get someone like Jon Favreau, who has directed and I mean kicked off the MCU, kicked off Mandalorian. I mean he's got a body of work that speaks for itself. I think Dave Filoni is right there with him, and I think Filoni honestly would be my top choice because he is such an encyclopedia of information for Star Wars. He gets the thinking of George Lucas. Like he knows he knows the stuff inside and out, and he gets the imagery. And I think I talked about it either last episode or maybe the one before, where now hearing him speak about the Duel of the Fates and what that meant, and the basically the story of the Duel of the Fates is about Anakin's fate, and it's will Qui-Gon survive or not? And we know how it happened. That Anakin basically lost this father figure, and he gained Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan was always more of a brother, so he never had that father role. So if the fate was this is literally the duel for Anakin's fate, and it was whether he goes to the dark side or continues the light. And it had Qui-Gon survived, maybe Anakin would have turned out differently. Maybe he would have ended up being the proper chosen one, and bringing full balance, rather than completely destroying everything and eventually kind of getting there-ish. But hearing him talk about Star Wars, even stuff that you might not like, and he brings this level of understanding to it that you're like, wow, yeah, I get that. I appreciate that more because of how deeply you understand and appreciate it. So I think having someone like that behind steering the ship basically would just be incredible. So he'd probably be my top choice, but Kevin Feige,
undeniable talent.
Yeah, I think what he's done with the MCU and the cohesiveness of the Marvel universe on film and now in TV with WandaVision and seemingly with where Falcon and the Winter Soldier is headed. I mean, it seems like they're sticking with the can do no wrong Inhumans aside. But I'm wondering if it's time for him or if he's interested in moving on. Can he hand off the reins of the MCU to someone else? Would the Russo brothers step in as more of an overall producer role? Would they be interested in that? Is there someone else in the Disney fold that could come up and do that? Maybe Favreau steps into that and he steps into the Star Wars stuff. Who knows how it could shake down with Disney, but having him come in and say, okay, here's what we did with Marvel. We're going to follow a similar kind of formula, but make it Star Wars. He's already, expressed interest in producing something for Star Wars. Maybe that's a test bed. Maybe that's, if that succeeds, we're just going to give you the whole thing and have fun with it. So what about you? What's your top three?
I mean, like I said, I mirrored yours, but I said, I've been so thrilled with Taika and what he's done.
Okay, I was wondering if you were just throwing that out or if that was your actual.
No, that was not only with him as a creator, but also as a performer. But looking at his background in the wide variety of different things that he's done, he brings a certain sensibility to it that I've always said that because he's a Kiwi, he's from New Zealand, and Australia is always a place I've wanted to visit, but I've always thought of it as being so far away that it's like another planet. So I tend to think of Australia, the fact that they filmed episode 2 in Australia, the fact that they did the Lord of the Rings in New Zealand. It feels like it's a different planet to me, and creators from there bring a certain sensibility that we, Randy, Americans or North Americans, if you will, don't have. So Star Wars needs that inhuman, outer worldly touch that's different than what we experience. Where when you think about Star Trek, Star Trek is always felt very disrespected. There might be actors from different places around the world, but it's always felt very American because of Captain Kirk and Gene Roddenberry created it, and it just felt very, you know what I mean? Where Star Wars to me just always felt very much galaxy, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. That's how I think about it. So that's my perspective. I think any one of them could do just a phenomenal job.
My one hesitation with Taika Waititi is I wonder if given full reign, would he go even maybe a little too far into the comedy, as he kind of tends to, if he's completely unchained with his own thing. There are some times that he just leans so heavily into a joke that it's like, oh, rein it back a tiny bit.
But even Favreau came from a quasi drama comedy aspect because he came out. He was in Swingers, and then he was in a string of kind of those rom-coms in the early 2000s. In Friends, he was the UFC fighter billionaire, whatever that dated Rachel or not? Exactly. Was it Rachel? I do not.
No, remember. Monica. It was Monica, I think.
You had a 1 in 3 chance of getting it right, so it's okay.
My wife's like, if she hears me, she's gonna run downstairs and slap me because she friends in our house is just background noise at this point. Like that's her favorite show.
That's like some people in The Office. I'm starting The Office for the 50th time. Never get Oxford going about that. He's never watched a television show twice, and he generally never makes it past the first episode of any show. Which is how
as soon as you say don't get him started, I'm gonna get him started on that, right?
What do you think it was? It was my absolute reverse psychology.
Perfect.
And it's clearly
you played me.
I know it. I know it. So, well, folks, that is a wrap to this month. We said it was going to be short, but I think we still pulled out an hour. Not bad.
Yeah.
Because we're talking sorts. But thank you for joining us. We are, of course, one of the 4 pillars of the Secret Friends Unite Facebook community and podcasting network, including this fine program where we talk about Star Wars. There's Code 47, where Alex, Terry, and I talk about Star Trek. Co-op mode is Mark and my best friend of 25 years, Todd Oxtra, talking about video games. And Todd and I, now 6.5 years running over on Secret Friends Unite, talking about geek culture in general every Friday. You can find us over on Facebook. We have both a group and a podcast page. You can find us over on Twitter at Secret Friends U. Hit us up. Let you know what you think about all of our programs. At Secret Friends U is the handle that rules all the rings. We've even had some talk recently of taking it into an honest to God regular website. So keep your ear balls peeled for that. Seeing that
takes some work, but yeah, definitely.
You got
pay attention to that one.
Making that happen. We are available on podcast services all around the ring. iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Prime. We're also over there on YouTube. Leave us a review. 5 stars if you dig us. And it does help the show out. It will also earn you a delightful digital prize from our digital prize closet. Finally, we do have a store over on TeePublic. Logos of all of your favorite Secret Friends Unite programs. You can get yourself t-shirts, hoodies, notebooks, wall art, pillows. They got a whole bunch of different kind of merch. Proceeds from the store. Yeah, proceeds from the store do benefit a charity that is near and dear to my heart that I've been working with here in Michigan for the last couple of years, called the League of Enchantment, which supports children here in the state with hospital visits and things of that nature. So please jump on there. They actually are having a special they do specials a couple times a month. So subscribe to the page, subscribe to the emails, and you will know that you are supporting a good cause. So with that, I will bid you adieu. Thank you again for joining us, friends. I'm going to tell you, as always, that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
May the force be with you, Rex.